What's up again, everybody? I am super excited to bring you this next series of videos because it covers one of my favorite things in the Dice Masters community. This is a couple of videos on a rainbow draft, and this first video that you're watching right now is the draft portion. So for those of you who don't know what a rainbow draft is basically where a bunch of people get together. Each of you buy 12 packs of the same set of Dice Masters. You take 6 of those packs and you open them. You set all of your cards in front of you and put all of the dice of the packs that you just opened in the center. And you arrange them in color or in like order. So if you have 3 of one, you put all 3 of those next to each other. And it ends up looking like a rainbow, hence the name Rainbow Draft. And then you take your stack of cards, you look through all of them, and you pick one of those cards to keep. You set that aside, you take the rest of the cards, and you pass them to the person that's on your left. And then the person that's on your right obviously passes to you, so you're going to take their cards, and then you do that whole process over again, where you pick one, you set it aside with the other one, and you pass. And you keep going around until you run out of cards. Then you open the next 6 packs and do that same thing again. And after you finish all of that, you take each die that corresponds with the card you drafted. So for example, if you drafted a Shazam from the Justice League set, you would take one of the Shazam dice. If you drafted 4 Shazams, you'd take 4. You take all your dice, you take all your cards, and then you put together a team based on what you drafted. And you play each other, essentially. And it's a tournament after that. Super duper fun. Now, what we did on this draft, we did something a little bit different. That first 6 cards, instead of actually doing a draft with those, what we did to speed up, because we were actually starting this pretty late in the day, we took those cards, we opened them, those packs, and we kept all of those. And those were sort of our cards that we're going to keep those. We didn't draft with those. So what that actually does is it allows you to build a team around those cards, or to draft a team around those cards. So if you are someone who's never played in a draft before, or you guys do a ton of drafts, but there's people that haven't drafted before, this is a great format for you to try. To take the first 6 packs and just have you keep those, because then you can base what you're drafting around on those 6, or you at least have an idea. Okay, so here are the first 6 packs that we opened, and remember, these are the packs that we are keeping. Hill Giant here is really good. Easy Overcrush, it's a 4 cost. I'd keep that, and I keep the Clay Golem. Obviously, I'm going to keep all of these, but I'm sort of sorting these in good versus bad piles. Cards that are really good, cards that I'm considering, cards that I know I want to put in, like that Elf Thief that allows me to steal energy. This is a good rare that I got. Rust Monster is pretty cool. But not a lot of gear in this set, so probably not as much utility. That Ghost is a great card if I feel like I'm up against a lot of adventurer teams, so I'd throw that on there. Gnome Ranger's okay if I want to make an adventurer team. And then obviously that Beholder is probably one of my favorite cards in the entire game. A 4 cost with a 6/5 stat line on top is just amazing. So those are the cards that I have from this first draft. Those are the ones that I can kind of focus around and build off of. So this is the second draft within this whole big rainbow draft. These are the second 6 packs, which you open and go ahead and draft from. So I see I have a Gelatinous Cube, and that's a rare Gelatinous Cube, and an Intellect Devourer. I obviously don't want to show my opponents these cards. You want to make sure that you keep yours secret so that you know what you're drafting and they don't. Again, though, all of the dice do go into the center so everyone can see how much of something there is. So for example, if I like that Bugbear Ambusher there, but I only see that there's 1 die, I have to really decide, do I want to draft it or do I want to pass on it? So you got another Ghost, and that's a rare Ghost, and a Hill Giant. Now that Hill Giant is really good. I already have 2 rares within this set, or within this card deck, I guess, if you will. So I'll have to decide if I want to draft those. Oh, and I have an Elf Thief there. So that's one of the pieces that I knew I wanted to get. So this is turning out to be a pretty difficult hand. A couple rares, if you're into collecting rares, that's a good thing to see. A couple of good powerful cards within this set. That Drizzt kind of interests me. It's a common Drizzt. Drizzt is another good adventurer in this set. He's a very popular one. And then with this final pack, it looks like I have 2 more adventurers. So I have an adventurer-heavy first draft opportunity. Both of those are pretty good. I love the cleave ability on that half-orc barbarian. Alright, so round 1 of the draft begins. The deck of cards that I just finished talking through is the first set of cards that I'm actually going to draft from. If I had to put things in a tier list, my tier 1 cards in this would be that Elf Thief. I'd put that Hill Giant there. Tier 2, I'd put Drizzt and those other adventurers in there. Those adventurers have some good abilities, but overall I think I want this Elf Thief more because it's such a low drop. It's got such a good ability. Not this one. I would use this one for the die, and I would run the common Elf Thief that I got in the first portion of this draft in those first 6 packs. So that would be my pick for round 1. Round 2 begins. So I set my round 1 card aside. The Ring Global is pretty good. The fact that there are 3 of those Hellhounds means, or Blink Dogs, means I'm definitely not going to pick those up, because that deck would have to come around 3 times for me to get the value out of that. So here I like the Clay Golem a lot. I like the Fabricate ability. It works well with the 2 cost of my Elf Thief, and I know I'm going to have 2 of those. So I have that as my number 1 pick in this. The Goblin's pretty good, as it has Swarm, but I know that from my first hand not seeing a Goblin, I know there's several Goblins around the table, and I have a feeling people are going to take those. So I picked Clay Golem here. Fabricate's good, and the ability to absorb damage also works well if I have a large board, which usually happens in these D&D drafts. Moving on to round number 3, I go ahead and pick up the cards. Gelatinous Cube, Lizard Folk, that's pretty good. It's got a Swarm ability. I love the Dwarf Wizard. It's got some good control abilities. It's not the rare Dwarf Wizard. I'd love to draft that card. Some other things in here. Potion, kind of cool. It's the rare potion. Gives fast. That other Clay Golem would be good. It would give me a 3rd Clay Golem die. So a couple of good choices in here. I like this Clay Golem probably the best because I can use that Fabricate ability multiple times with the Elf Thief combo. You know, Fabricate him and his buddy out, and then you field them again next turn because they just got KO'd. So you roll them and field them, and you steal more energy, and you just keep that combo going. So I like that combo a lot. Looking at the cards that I already have, these are cards that I put, the ones I just showed are cards that I had picked up and separated out in that first 6 packs. Those are ones that I like. Those are other cards that I had also opened in those 6 packs. So looking at what I'd already have, what would already kind of go together, I like this Clay Golem the best because I know I can get out at least 1, maybe multiple if I feel like I'm safe on the board. So that's my draft hand so far. Alright, draft round number 4. So looking through these, Uranus, not important, and then I see the rare Elf Wizard, or yeah, the rare Dwarf Wizard that no one has picked up yet. That is an auto pick, and that's both because of its amazing ability and because of its rarity and cost. And I will definitely put that in a team because of its ability to keep things off of the board that I don't want to be on the board. So currently have an Elf Thief, 2 Clay Golems, and the question is, which of those Clay Golems do I want to run? Do I want to do the one that soaks up the character damage or the one that soaks up the face damage? And then I'll pick that later. But that is an awesome pickup to be able to draft the rare Dwarf Wizard. We got a Lizard Folk. It's a rare Lizard Folk, so it doesn't have Swarm, but it has +2A for gear, if gear is equipped. Not a lot of gear floating around in this set in general. So we got some energy drain, which is good if I feel like I'm up against a lot of adventurer teams. Not a lot of adventurers have come to my hand, which either means they're being picked up or not a lot of adventurers got opened. So here's, for me, it's between this Lizard Folk because it's a low drop, and because I know there could be Lizard Folk floating around that have the Swarm ability. It's between that and this Displacer Beast. Gnome Ranger's okay. I could see that, but for 3 cost, it kind of pushes me away from it, and high fielding. So really, for me, it's between Lizard Folk and Displacer Beast. I end up, I don't like this Displacer Beast as much because the stat line's good, but for a 4 cost mask, I could do better spending my energy, especially without PXG. You really have to think, what inset ramp do we have? Not a ton, and so I'm gonna have to spend my energy very carefully and very frugally, if you will. I have to save things up, and so with that, I'm going to end up picking up this this Lizard Folk. And it's a good thing I did, because here's another Lizard Folk that I can actually take. A lot of stuff in here that I don't have, except for that Lizard Folk, so this pick's pretty easy. Lizard Folk is the best thing in here for me because it's got that swarm and it's going to guarantee me another die. So far I've gotten some good synergy here. Decent low amounts. I'm going to be able to buy anything that I need fairly easily. 3, 3, 3, 3, and 5, 5. So pretty low drops, which is good. Round number 7. Intellect Devourer, Gelatinous Cube. So this is the hand that I started with. So these two, the Fighter and the Barbarian are good. Not so big fan of Gelatinous Cube or the Intellect Devourers. Drizzt would be a great end game card, as this is the one that gets +1/+1 for each different evil character. So if my opponent is running something like a Fiend team or anything with just a bunch of evil monsters, then that Drizzt is going to be a really good finisher. The other thing to take note of on these adventurers, the Dwarf Wizard and the Elf Thief, is that they both have experience. So and so does Drizzt, and so does this half orc and this human fighter. All of it has experience. So I'm gonna want something that's good. They're gonna stay out in the field and stay alive so that they can build up that experience. So I'm going to want something like a Drizzt to be able to stick out there and KO monsters but stay alive. So I go ahead and pick up that Drizzt. We move on immediately to round number 8. 3 Blink Dogs, a Clay Golem, another Drizzt. I could pick up a Blink Dog, but it wouldn't do me much good. A second Drizzt die would be great because a 5-cost shield, having 2 of those to be able to buy would be pretty awesome. Do I need a 3rd or 4th Clay Golem? Probably not. So for this decision, I'm probably going to end up going with the Drizzt. Put that Clay Golem back in the pile, and I think I take that Drizzt. I think that's the good draft right there. So I've got a pretty standard, pretty clean draft here. I'd like one more Dwarf Wizard. That'd be good if I could pick up one more of those dice. I don't know what's been taken, what's not been taken. Ah, but there's one right there, so that's an easy pick as well. The other three are pointless. So that adds 2 of that dice, or excuse me, 2 of that die, 2 dice of that card. Gelatinous Cube, nah. Intellect Devourer, nah. Orcus is pretty cool, but nah. Not in this team. So this is an extremely good draft for me right now. Got a good adventurer team going. All right, last couple of rounds. We got round number 10 here. Rust Monster, Gelatinous Cube. Uranus is kind of cool, I guess. 5 cost. So I like the control card here. I like being able to put something on my team. I have attackers. I have control, a little bit of control with that Dwarf Wizard. If I decided to, I could put that Gelatinous Cube on my team and add a little bit more control as it captures. But I think that's the best pick out of those 3. And then we're down to the last 2. And as you know, with the last 2, you pick one and you give the other one to your opponent. So I take Blink Dog because it's another low drop. Baylor is not so good. And my opponent gives me Bugbear Ambusher. So after you finish with a draft, what you do is you lay your cards out, including the doubles that you might have, and then you pull a die for each card that you drafted. So for example, I'm going to lay out my cards here. I'm going to put 2 Clay Golems together, put the 2 Dwarf Wizards together, and I'm going to take a die for each card that I picked up. So I'll have 2 Clay Golem dice, 2 Dwarf Wizards, and all that sort of thing. So putting my team together right after this, I'll have 3 Clay Golems, so I can definitely use the Fabricate. If I feel like I am safe, if my board is safe and under control, then I can Fabricate out my Elf Thieves and then refield them next turn, stealing energy. I end up taking out that Bugbear Ambusher and that Gelatinous Cube, and instead put in the Hill Giant. I forget what I changed out for a Gelatinous Cube. I've put something in there. Nevertheless, oh, I put the Beholder in. That's right. I put the Beholder in. The Beholder is good here with the Hill Giant because Hill Giant has Overcrush, but this is the 4 cost that says when he attacks, other evil character dice can't be blocked. So there's some synergy right there. So I have a good amount of low drops. I've got some good synergy with the Adventurers. I've got a good end game card with Drizzt. My Giant has some synergy along with the Beholder that steals energy. So all in all, this is a really good draft, and I think a really good team. So let's jump into the games that I recorded and played. I played 3 games with this team. Let's see how it went.